This is the Scarcity Studios YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. And our sponsors are Alpha Claims and Hire Birmingham, the leading and best accident management company. Get a replacement car anywhere in 1 hour. I really appreciate you joining me today, and this is an update on news from London. Special thanks to Dave Nathan and also UK NIP for use of the footage at the scenes. The first story, we're going to talk about the murder on Oxford Street. The police have said that the man is 60 years old and he was stabbed in an unprovoked random attack, and he later went on to die in hospital. A 25-year-old man was arrested at the scene and he was detained by members of the public on Thursday evening. The man who was arrested was taken to hospital for injuries that are not thought to be life-threatening. And My London newspaper said he's been charged with murder and remains in custody, but the official police statement doesn't say he's been charged yet. They say central London was plunged into chaos when shortly after 8 PM a man was stabbed on the famous street. An eyewitness to the shocking attack said that a hero jumped on the attacker and detained him until the police arrived. An eyewitness who gave his Twitter name as James Sexton described in detail the horrifying incident and the bravery of those that ran to his aid. He said, "I witnessed a horrible attack on Oxford Circus in broad daylight for no apparent reason. The Metropolitan Police have launched an appeal for information and have requested to speak to the two young men with skateboards who led the intervention against the attacker." Detective Chief Inspector Vicky Tunstall said, "This is being treated as a random and unprovoked attack, and we are not actively looking for anyone else in connection to the incident. I would like to reassure the public that this is not connected to terrorism. It was very busy at the time and members of the public tried to help as well, and they detained the suspect. So massive respect to them people that potentially may have saved other people being injured. The fact that they say they don't believe this was any motive, they believe this was random, the automatic assumption would be mental health. But due to the fact we haven't got any clarification from witnesses at the scene, I definitely will have to follow up on that. But yesterday I covered the story of the 8 random attacks in Birmingham from one man as well. And it would be sad to see that mental health is deteriorating that bad in the city, that these sorts of cases are happening more and more often. But it's very early in the investigation and we'll definitely keep you updated in the near future. In some other news that has come from Croydon yesterday, this is the latest in a series of murders of teenagers in London in the last week. The boy was found dead in his family home in the Shrublands area, and police were called at 1:15 on Thursday the 1st of July to reports of a disturbance in the residential address on Bracken Avenue in Croydon. Officers attended and found a 16-year-old male inside the address with multiple stab wounds. They provided immediate first aid and London Ambulance Service arrived, and so did Air Ambulance. Despite the best efforts, the boy died at the scene at 1:30 in the morning. His next of kin have been informed and they are awaiting formal identification. There is pictures circulating, but we won't reveal his identity until the family do so. At this early stage, the police are saying they're keeping an open mind, but the homicide investigation has been launched, and Detective Chief Inspector Dave Blair of the Met Police says the boy lost his life at his home address, and in nearby Warren Street they found a vehicle that they believe was used by the suspects and has been abandoned. The police have thanked the community who are working with officers trying to gather evidence and urge anyone to come forward who witnessed the attack. From that you can gather that they're saying that this wasn't like an internal issue, this wasn't a family argument. This means that somebody from the outside of the home came into the home and killed this young man, teenager, child, potentially in front of his family. A Section 60 order has been put in place in the South London area and will be in place for the next day. This comes several days after the murder of Taeshan in the Sydenham area of London. This happened on Friday night, and the first picture was released yesterday of the teenager after the senseless killing near his home in South East London. Police have arrested a 19-year-old male on suspicion of murder, and today they have charged him with the murder as well. The male that has been charged is Romello Harley from SE26, and he's been remanded in custody until the 2nd of July. The victim's mother was at the scene within minutes, and she's been supported by police and relatives. Taeshan was the 18th teenager to be killed so far in London this year and to have died from stab wounds. The first 6 months of 2021 have seen the teenage death toll already reach the total of last year. Police said officers and ambulances attempted to revive him, but he died at the scene as well, which is becoming a very common occurrence. He was meant to have been stabbed multiple times as well, and a relative said that the mother is in pieces as she met the police in a mile walk following the death. A post-mortem examination was held at Greenwich Mortuary on Tuesday, and Detective Chief Inspector Chris Wood, leading the investigation, said the officers are working 24/7 following a number of leads and inquiries following the senseless loss of life, and our investigation is gathering pace. And in another South London murder that has occurred last week, he has been named as Jason Yarko. He's 26 years old from Lewisham, and he was fatally stabbed at an illegal rave near Millwall Football Club in the South Bermondsey area. Police found Jason at the industrial unit in Stockholm Road, where the event was taking place shortly before midnight, and a 16-year-old boy was taken to hospital with head injuries also, and arrested in connection with the incident. And the latest updates on the murder in South Bermondsey of Jason and Yarko. Police have today charged a 16-year-old with murder. So this week we've had a 16-year-old killed and a 16-year-old potentially losing his life in prison for taking somebody else's. Police were called at 23:45, quarter to 12 on the 28th of June, to reports of a man stabbed at the party. And police are still appealing to any witnesses to the event. So this is devastating news for so many families today. And it definitely makes you think about how much you value your freedom and also your life as well. We've got a lot of news coming this week, and I'm going to try to be out in the communities to get the stories that really matter. I think we need some good news this week, and I'm going to do my best to make sure that I can bring you that. So I really appreciate you joining me today. Please don't forget to follow us online as well at Scarcity Studios. I'll be back again very shortly with some more news. Peace.